He buried many of his children, faced plagues, floods, and war, was betrayed by those closest to him, surrounded by corrupt, inept, and infinitely ambitious people. Although some criticize Marcus Aurelius for being depressing or negative, there is no doubt that he was in pain, tired, and frustrated. He was just a man like any of us who at some point felt exhausted by life. But despite living Stoicism and being the greatest of all time, Marcus didn't choose the path considered easier. He didn't blame anyone, didn't hold grudges for the hand he was dealt or the painful cards he had to play. He continued seeking relief in physical activity and work. He tried, as we discussed in previous videos, to focus on beauty amidst the ugliness of life. He was brave enough to ask for help when he needed it most. Marcus Aurelius not only kept getting up every morning but made an effort to do it early. He remembered on the pages of his meditations the reasons he was here on this planet, what his nature demanded of him, what his duty was. He moved forward, found relief, purpose, and even joy in it. No matter who you are or what you are going through, the same is available to you within your soul. It's okay if you're tired. It's understandable and completely acceptable. As you reveal your pain, some people are more likely to want to harm you. Although it doesn't always happen, it is common for some people to find pleasure in seeing you suffer, or even contribute to making it worse. This behavior of sadism and envy is unfortunately present in many, and can hinder your personal life in various fields, whether at work, in social circles, or even in the family. Therefore, learning not to show your weak point can end up becoming your strong point. Imagine yourself as a tree in the midst of a storm. The leaves may sway, and the branches may sway, but the trunk remains solidly rooted in the earth. This is the portrait of the Stoic that we are going to teach here. We will talk about how you can be even stronger if you show that external or internal problems do not easily affect you. Every challenge teaches you to be like a tree, acting as if nothing affects you. You are not denying the storm, but choosing not to let the rain soak you and the wind knock you down. You will learn to be the master of your own destiny, firm, strong, and serene in a sea of chaos. In this video, we will talk about the 19 Stoic principles of a great and renowned philosopher whom you have probably already heard of. We also invite you to get to know yourself, where strength does not come from the thunder's roar, but from the silence of the light that illuminates the path. Therefore, in the next few minutes, focus on the content and not on daily distractions. Principle 1. Do not anticipate pleasure or pain. Epicurus advises us not to anticipate pleasure or pain, as this will allow us to live more wisely. When we anticipate pleasure, we create cravings that can lead to disappointment. On the other hand, anticipating pain can generate unnecessary fear and anxiety. Live in the present moment and face each experience as it comes. Principle 2. Always expect the worst. One of the biggest causes of anxiety and its devastating consequences is believing that unfavorable circumstances await us in the future. We fear that our children will drop out of school, that we will be fired from work, that our partner will confess infidelity and ask for a divorce, or that something bad will happen, such as bankruptcy. The problem is that one day we fear one problem, and the next day another. Life, in addition to reserving good and happy parts, also reserves a series of inevitable problems. We live in constant stress caused by different stimuli every day. This is where Epicurus comes in because his proposal is as drastic as it is effective. He says, "Think that all those things you fear so much have already happened. What could be worse?" This way, your spirit will develop strategies to move forward with your head held high. Principle 3. Listen. The first principle is to listen twice as much as you speak. Have you ever wondered why nature gave us 2 ears but only 1 mouth? According to Epicurus, there is no mistake or coincidence in this. It serves a clear purpose. We should not be in love with our own voice, as much as we are called to be in love with the voices of others. We learn from others to progress in life, not by repeating our own discourse over and over again. So, from today, pay more attention to what people around you say, and less to what you have maintained until now. Principle 4. Be prepared to fail because it is the only way to progress. We do everything possible not to be considered fools, but Epicurus has a different view on it. According to his philosophy, one of the best things that can happen to you is to be considered a fool because this is the way to truly improve professionally and personally. The Stoic philosopher reminds us that overcoming is not the product of a spontaneous reaction, but the result of a long path of trial and error. It is through error that we can polish what separates us from excellence. Principle 5. Be aware of the dangers of wealth. The wealth we desire brings with it a stigma from which few people can free themselves. It is not only about people who will appear out of nowhere to benefit from our wealth, pretending friendship they do not feel for us. Money has the ability to transform people, and not necessarily for the better. Once we possess this highly coveted resource, we discover something we didn't know we had, and from that point on, our spirit can begin to poison itself in the face of the loss of moral values. Principle 6. Remember, death always waits at the end of the road. This is not advice that calls us to pessimism, but to be aware that death is the ultimate destination of all our actions and, especially, of our efforts. Once we have this in mind, we may begin to assess to what extent it is worth spending 20 years of our limited life saving to buy a house that, no matter how much we weigh, we will not be able to take with us wherever we go when death visits us. Just as we carry in our bag objects that we consider indispensable for our daily life, such as the phone, credit cards, and our toothbrush, it would benefit us to carry a small notebook with these principles. Thanks to them, we will stop seeing setbacks as misfortunes and life as internal time that we have at our disposal. Instead, we will acquire a more realistic view of our existence and certainly make better use of our lifetime. Principle 7. Hold on to one hope. Fortunately, we are inclined to practice diversity, which means there is no reason to place all our hopes on a single dream, as this could be devastating if it fails. Therefore, Epicurus encourages us to pursue many dreams, as this will exponentially increase our chances of success. Principle 8. True wealth lies in a contented spirit. Due to Epictetus's Stoicism, he had his own conception of happiness. You can get to know it through one of his famous phrases: "A wise man is one who does not care about what he does not have, but rejoices in what he has." This reflection goes beyond a simple thought. It is advice to learn to stop feeling distressed by those riches that are not yet part of our life. Because while we allow ourselves to complain and lament about what we lack, we lose valuable minutes of happiness in which we could be grateful for all that we have achieved so far, which is much more than our eyes are trained to appreciate. So, a wealthy person is, above all, a happy person. Number 9. Guilt is a plague. Narrow-minded people blame others, common people blame themselves, but the wise see all blame as foolishness. Thanks to this phrase from Epicurus, therapists nowadays have begun to address guilt as a feeling that must be eradicated from our lives. The only way to win the competition against guilt is to refuse to play with it. The problem is that it results in an easy path, as blaming others or ourselves absolves us of the responsibility to correct the mistake. Therefore, resorting to it is a temptation difficult to avoid, and only those driven by a strong determination to overcome it are capable of avoiding guilt and still take responsibility for their actions. Principle 10. Humility. Incorporate humility into your life if you truly want to learn something. It is essential that a person learns what they believe they already know. With this phrase, Epicurus urges us to use our humility, especially in the field of learning. Going through life boasting of our pride and knowledge distances us further and further from genuine knowledge that arises from the conviction that we are completely ignorant about what we intend to learn. In this way, we will see everything through the eyes of a child, which holds both the capacity for wonder and the desire to learn. Principle 11. Make alliances. Form alliances with successful people. It is curious how, when someone sneezes next to us, we immediately move away, invaded by the fear of contagion. However, we are not as cautious in avoiding one of the most lethal contagions we are exposed to daily. Epicurus left us wise advice in this regard. Surround yourself with people who make you want to give your best, because the influence of people greatly affects our mental state. There are people who drain our energy and ruin our day, while others leave us full of joy and vitality. Therefore, one of the smartest decisions we can make is to ally with those who bring good vibes into our lives and say goodbye to those who have the ability to make us regret being born. Principle 12. Never forget your reactions. Never forget that your reactions shape your destiny. We should not take our reactions lightly, as they are definitely what determines our success or failure. Epicurus was very categorical about this. He taught us that we do not have the possibility to choose what happens, but we do have the ability to manage it. Misfortune can befall any of us, but what we do from its arrival will make the difference. For some people, a divorce means entering the world of depression and victimization, while for Epicurus, it is a golden opportunity to start the path of self-knowledge. Remember that your life is not what happens to you, but what you do with it. Principle 13. Do not hate those who hate you. Just ignore them. You are much greater and entirely superior to the one who criticizes, despises, and discriminates against you. Therefore, do not waste your precious time hating that person because they do not even deserve to be present in your thoughts. We are encouraged not to fear people who harm us because that noise represents a regrettable attempt to harm us. So, ignore it and become immune to it. Principle 14. Always fulfill your duty. Each of us has a role in society and the world, and the sun does not need praise or enchantments to rise every morning. It simply does. In the same way, every part of nature fulfills its function. We must fulfill our obligations. If we are waiting to please or receive praise to do our work, we are failing both the environment to which we belong and ourselves. If we know our task and are aware that other people depend on it, it is our moral duty to carry it out without expecting anyone to remind us. Principle 15. Embrace simplicity. Why live frugally when today we have the opportunity to surround ourselves with all kinds of luxuries? The answer is much simpler and more logical than you might think because wealth does not sustain itself, but requires commitment and a lot of daily energy to maintain this system of luxury and wealth. In contrast, when we choose a simple lifestyle, we stop being surrounded by the pressure of having to meet the due dates of bills, loans, and credit cards. Principle 16. Control your life. When you allow the comments and attitudes of others to bother you, you are giving up control of your life. Anyone capable of making you angry invests in your domain, but that person can only make you angry when you allow them to disturb you. Epicurus helps us understand that there are many keys within us and some lead us to happiness, while others lead us directly to emotional ruin. It is precisely this latter key that we give to those who make us angry. Principle 17. Friendship is above wealth. True friends are genuine friends because they will be there to support us if one day our material fortune dissipates. Therefore, dedicate yourself to cultivating true friendships, and you will be making a highly profitable long-term investment. Principle 18. Always extract the benefit from things, no matter what happens. It depends on you to take advantage of it or not. These were Epicurus's words. As you can see, it is not about having the option to extract the good from adversity, but doing so is our duty. Whenever there is intelligence in you, there is the ability to realize the advantage that can be taken from the situation that has hit you. Imagine that one day you arrive at work to discover that you will be fired. Instead of despairing and accusing the universe of being against you, you have the option to venture into that business you dreamed of while fulfilling your working hours alongside people you did not like. Therefore, always try to look for the positive in a situation because this move, added up throughout your life, will certainly take you further than simply lamenting. Principle 19. Stop worrying about what is beyond your control. You own your opinion, but not your reputation. You have the desire and zeal for seeking, but you cannot control the amount of wealth you have or success. Therefore, worrying and getting bitter about those things we cannot control is simply a decision to waste time. According to Epicurus, we are called to cultivate those values that we have the possibility to change, but it is also our responsibility to let go of what is beyond our control. and let fate take care of it. In addition to being incredibly useful for everyday life, Stoic principles are teachings that can help us navigate tough times with resilience and interest. In their philosophy, there is no room for fantasies, only for applying what has been learned and moving forward. I sincerely hope that this message has been useful to you. I want to congratulate you greatly for having come this far and for having finished the video. That means that you want to improve as a person. If you liked the video, leave your comment. You don't know what to comment. Comment "I dare" so I know you made it to the end. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join us. Thank you for your attention. Until next time, warrior.